Oh, I forgot to turn it on. Hang on. Can you see the glow? Hi guys, it's still holiday time, actually New Year's Day, and I figured I would start doing what I was doing a while back, which is a series of really crummy movie reviews, but several in one day, so I feel like I've accomplished something. So today's cheap Jello movie, it's going to be called the Cheap Glove Jello. I'm watching this channel on YouTube called Giallo Realm, which really has some excellent movies in it. They post very frequently. You don't know what you're going to get on there, and there's a lot of obscure stuff. But this one, well, actually, I went on IMDb to find out a little more about it. It's from 1974, called The Killer Wore Gloves, and IMDb gave it 5.4 out of 10, which is, yeah, I would say that's about what's right. In fact, I also had to go there to remember the name of the main female character, which turns out to be Peggy. 1974, which means lots of bad fleece outerwear, long leather coats, and well, like most Jellos, it begins with like many Jellos, it begins with the not so phallic scene of a airplane slowly pulling into its dock on the airport. This is an Italo-Spanish film with English sound and Greek subtitles on this channel. So be warned, since I know absolutely nothing of Greek, and I didn't even understand what the sentence structure could possibly be, this did distract a little bit from the film, which is fine, because it needed distraction. So, this lady's name is Peggy, and she is some kind of, either she's an architect or she draws posters or something. We never really see what her work is, but she does come into the boss's office with a big rolled up piece of paper, which could be the map of the London subway. Who knows, because this does take place in London. Anyway, Peggy's boyfriend, Michael, is a photographer off in Vietnam. And we see pictures of him. He has this fabulous porn stash. So the story begins in a great Giallo style. There's these two guys in the airport, and one pushes the other into the toilet stall and slits his throat. That's great, and makes off with a really cheap suitcase. There's two suitcases in this satchels, and they're just like the nastiest leather. It looks like, not even Wilson leather quality. So he makes off with it. And Peggy, who may or may not have money problems since her boyfriend Michael is off in, where is he? Off in Vietnam for 4 months. She's like, might be running out of money, so she decides to rent their duplex, the top of the duplex. So, and also her boss is a lech. Well, he's not really her boss. I think she works on commission, or she's some kind of independent contractor. Because she goes in there with her rolled up thing, and he's like, well, I know you haven't had a man for 4 months, and I could get you some money. And he's just he's a sleazebag. So, sleazebag aside, so she's taking a shower, of course, because you have to take a shower in Jello movies. What is a Jello without at least one woman getting cleaned? And she has this really ugly hamper on the back of her apartment, and on the back of her bathroom door, it's this grotesque-looking kind of clown head, and the mouth opens is like the laundry bag. So she throws her stuff in there, and then the guy comes to rent the apartment. Now, she's not supposed to be renting it, so I guess she's not telling the landlord or the super or whoever, the super being some amusing English guy who I've seen in other shows, and he has, of course, the Harridan wife, who's also the concierge. But so the guy comes to the door and he's like, hi, I'm Joe Schmo, who was recommended for the apartment. And the apartment is, it's 2 levels. And the second level is Michael, the photographer, who is away in Vietnam's studio, and there's a dark room in there. So she's renting that part out because she doesn't know when he's coming back. But you can access it from the outside via spiral staircase, which is cool. So she shows him the thing, and then she goes off. And then somehow the tenant gets killed. He gets pushed off the balcony. And she doesn't see, she sees when she comes in, he's like face down, he's all bloody and shit. And she's like, oh, I have no idea who was up there, because she's not supposed to be renting. And then, while the police are questioning her in her apartment, the doorbell rings and this guy says, "Hi, I'm Joe Smo. I'm the guy who's going to be renting." And she has to pretend like she hasn't seen anybody before. So this is I guess, the real tenant. So the first tenant's been murdered, but why? It's that cheap satchel. At some point, she discovers the cheap satchel in the clown mouth hamper, and it's like full of money. And so what happens then? Well, there's a girlfriend or two, and the short-haired one with the leopard coat is in on it, and the curly-haired one isn't. And there's some nudity, and they're both like sleeping with the sleaze boss. And the girlfriend, who's not the one in the leopard coat, gets like sliced with they call it a scythe. It's kind of like a little, almost like it's not a switchblade. Anyway, and this killer has the cheapest gloves on earth. But in Giallo movies, you don't see who the killer is. You see, pants, black shoes, leather jacket, and gloves. And the gloves are like so cheap, they stop at the wrist. But we see that this guy has a gold bracelet on the wrist. Okay, so we're going to know that's the real killer when the gold bracelet shows up. So anyway, 6 minutes. Have I told you anything? Not really. But nothing else happens. She kind of like, oh, this person is dead and my friend's dead and all this. And we go through a lot of shit. It turns out at the end, the second tenant is supposed to be some kind of, what is he, an ecology expert or some shit? And the guy who died is not the guy who died. It's Michael, which makes no fucking sense. Because you'd think if the police find a body and it came from a balcony, they go into the balcony apartment and see all the pictures of Michael and say, "Hey, that's Michael." I mean, there's even a jump scare when she goes into the dark room upstairs and she thinks she sees Michael in the back of the development room, and it turns out to be a poster. I mean, and they don't identify who people are. And he's supposed to be some international guy, like at least fairly well known. But somehow the police missed the fact that this is Michael that got killed. So at the end, the good guy, who we didn't know was a good guy, they jump in his car, which is like this fabulous, I don't know, what is it, a Rolls or something? And she's got the satchel of money, which she smartly took the money out and put it in a locker somewhere. So she's got this other satchel. And they drive up to his country house because, conveniently enough, even though they live in London, like an 8-minute drive away is this villa that is probably in Spain because it's a Spanish Italo production. And then, the killer comes in on his motorcycle, and he's this is where you get the explanation. He said, "Oh, well, you see, Michael, stole the payroll from the soldiers," which makes no sense. Stole the payroll from the soldiers, and his courier got stabbed, and Michael had the money upstairs, which makes no sense again, because the money was hidden downstairs. But then again, it's his apartment. He could go up and down anyhow. And this is the excuse for why they had to hire a plane and or helicopter for this, because then you get this chase where the Rolls is like speeding over this wonderful countryside, which couldn't possibly be English. This flat field, and they have the big dolly shot from 3 miles up, and then he ends up running over the cycle guy. So what can I say about this film? Well, it really does deserve the 5.4. You got a couple of good slashes in there. You got the obligatory female nudity, but if you don't have a problem with reading subtitles, you have no clue what they are, and you want to kill some hours, because I actually watched this on New Year's Eve. I said, well, let me be up, and it was one of those movies where you stop it, you go get a cup of coffee, and you say, should I keep going or should I run back to the beginning? So I did that, and I thank Giallo Realm for the movie. I suggest you check them out. They've got a lot of good content, and I'm surprised they're not more well known. And that's it. I have a couple more of these I want to do today. And why am I out of breath? I don't know. Must be because I had my coffee. So Merry New Year, and I will be talking to you soon. Thanks again.